And it's time for the McBiz Forum of the afternoon.
Wow.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, Master King Greg Wyatt.
I have not spoken to a European guy in a long time.
Well, thank you. Even though I'm from Milwaukee.
Well, that's
it's
close.
okay.
You know?
It is.
Close,
When we eat perch and perch and walleye.
There you go.
John Campion here, co-host with Greg Wyatt. European Kitchen and Bath is my business, and I am the monthly co-host during the month of July. And we are really special guest is Greg Wyatt on the board.
Wait a minute. You said you were the monthly co-host?
Yes.
Every time I've been down here, you've been.
Well, you've been in my month because John Hutrides from Stewart Moving is he'll be August.
There you go.
So we rotate a couple of Johns.
Oh, we may run into him.
Yeah, he never know.
Well, 2 Johns, you've got those in the store too.
Yes, you go when you can, not when you have to, Greg. And we are. I'm sorry. It's just if I can make you laugh, I know I'm bad. My wife told me after 35 years of marriage, I need to find a new audience for all my stupid sayings. So there you go, dear. But we have as our guest tonight, here at the 10 minutes after the hour is Dave Darrenbacker from Waterpoint Realty Group. Thank you.
We went over that. That was good, John. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I remember
Grand Poobah of Waterpoint.
That's right. He is the guy who put it together and has made it grow to one of the premier realty company groups in the area. And welcome, David.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Don't want to call you David. Call you Dave. Double D. I call him D squared. Right.
That's right, Johnny C.
So, anyways, Dave, one really good reason to tune in tonight is Dave is on top of this real estate market that's crazy out there in the area and everywhere for that matter. We're all wondering what's going on. So I know you gave a full report to the group this morning on our Zoom meeting, and would love to hear about what's going on out there in the market.
Low interest rates.
Rock bottom. Lowest ever.
Yeah.
Lowest ever.
It's amazing.
So it is a very interesting real estate market right now. We were, for all intents and purposes, we were shut down for, 4, 5, 6 weeks, second half of March and April. And, everybody was self-quarantining and staying at home and not a whole lot of looking at houses and that type of thing. But toward the end of April and beginning of May, when things opened back up, I tell you what, man, it's like the floodgates opened. And traditionally, our biggest feeder markets are South Florida and the Northeast. And both those areas have been pretty hard hit with this whole COVID thing. I don't know if you've heard about that. But
I heard a few rumors.
I heard there was a pandemic back in 1908.
You lived through that, didn't you?
Maybe it was not 1918. I had a guy in the store. I had a guy in the store not long ago who was born a year after it, and he drove to our store. Vinny, if you're out there, 101 years old. And I was blown away. When he left, I told people the story. That guy's 101. They go, "You're kidding. He looked like he was about, 75.
What did he buy?
Nothing. Mm-hmm. I helped him out. I gave him a free part.
You're a nice guy.
Yeah, I was told, just don't give away.
He's a do-it-yourselfer?
I don't know. He had a cane, so he must hit somebody with it. But, I just learned early on that, just don't give away more than you sell. You should stay in business. So I've kept that philosophy. But go ahead, David. I'm sorry. I digress as always.
Not a problem. So, our biggest feeder markets traditionally are South Florida and the Northeast. And now more than ever, a lot of the folks that live in those areas would prefer to live in an area like the Treasure Coast, like Martin County, like Stewart. So we've got a ton of people looking for houses right now.
But do you have the inventory?
But we do not have the inventory. I shouldn't say we do not. We have a very low inventory. Yeah. So I'm starting my 22nd year here in town selling residential real estate, and this is the lowest our inventory has ever been. So right now, these numbers are as of May. The June numbers won't come out for another week or so. But as of May, we had 900 single-family homes for sale in Martin County. That's it, 900, which was down
In the
almost-
whole county?
The whole county. So that's down almost 16% over May of last year. If you want to look at St. Lucie County, similar situation. They have, and remember, St. Lucie County has a little more than twice our population.
Right.
And St. Lucie County only has just short of 1,600 homes for sale. And that's down 19% from May of last year. So inventory is definitely the issue. Stuff is, it is a seller's market here in our area.
You know, my sister lives in Palm City in a nice neighborhood. She bought a home about 20 years ago. And I told her she's getting ready to put it on the market, or she has. And I said, Jill, you better have a place to go. It's my sister.
Yeah.
I fired her 2 years ago. Sorry, Jill, but at least we're talking again now. I'm sorry, folks. It's you know how family is. Anyways, no, we love each other. But I did tell her, I said, you better have a place to go because you're going to sell that house. And it was a builder built it. And it's in a nice little neighborhood in Palm City off of Map Road. And I just said, hey, so Dave, I'm sorry. I do the best I can. I'll promise you 2 leads before the end of the year. Okay?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You know.
Greg, did you get the recording?
I just looked at this book here, and there's a realtor, Water Point Realty Group, in the group.
Oh, now you're just rubbing it in because I left the group off. Okay, that's okay. You are a professional. You were the very first sportscaster on ESPN next to Chris Berman. I know how it works.
I beat Chris.
That's right. You were ahead of him.
That's
sorry.
right.
All
Yeah,
right.
Chris
See?
joined us around Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
But he's the one that made the most money, though.
yeah, he went, yeah. That's like what I say when I used to go down to Farmer's Pond and make out with Fred Turner's daughter, who was number 1 behind Ray Kroc at McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
And if I would have known who her daddy was, guys, you'd be praying for me to say Water Point Realty Group, but I wouldn't even know you.
So have you guys read Dr. Jerry Parrish's Florida Scorecard?
He's the doctor for us, right? Isn't he the medical? I see it on the weekly or the daily report.
He is the economist for the Florida Chamber in Tallahassee.
Right. Okay.
And he has tracked money from 1900 to the present. And he has breakdowns of where people are moving from. And of course, for the last 20 years, it's been New York and Mid-Atlantic, and then Boston. Well, now it's the other way. It's just as you were saying earlier. It is Miami number 1, Palm Beach number 2, then New York in his stats. And if you get a chance, look at the Florida Scorecard when you're thoroughly bored, middle of the night, open it up. Fascinating statistics. And it's all one word, thefloridascorecard.com.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's mind-boggling. And he's amazing. And he's been at IRSC several times. And we've had him there.
Well, I think that, when you figure over 1,000 people a day moving into Florida, which is still mind-boggling. And
100 a day into Port St. Lucie.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, and I think they're building 1,600 houses a day up there.
Well, and his estimate, and I don't think it's going to happen this quickly, and neither does the mayor, is 350,000 by 2030. He said that's not going to happen for Port St. Lucie. But
you're talking the city, not the county.
The city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Population.
County's at like 360 now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're saying the city would 350 by 30?
Yeah, it's not going to happen that quickly. And it just won't. It just can't.
Never say never.
Well, we lived it in the 90s. I mean, it's entirely possible. But the area that they're now talking about a regional park again. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. All that stuff, water park. Remember all that stuff back in the 90s. Anyway, Tradition is going to be a town of somewhere in the vicinity of 128,000.
Wow.
It's amazing.
And it's what, 6,700 now. So, but
They just keep building back, right?
Yeah.
Till they get over to the other coast.
keep heading west.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So David, it must be kind of tough for people to come down here and go, what do you mean there's nothing? I mean, they're all now with all the tools out there that people have to look at Zoom and not Zoom, Zillow and all that. I mean,
Yeah, let me say, if you are sitting at home quarantining and you're looking for real estate, your best bet is to look on Realtor.com. Forget about Zillow. I know everybody loves Zillow because it's easy to use, but a lot of the information on Zillow is not accurate. Realtor.com has the most accurate information.
Ooh, good tip.
Yeah. But yeah, you're exactly right. A buyer, by the time they get here, if they're coming from out of the area, they've already scoped it out. They already have a list of homes that they're interested in. But it's, stuff, if it's priced right and good condition, good location, it's going rather quickly.
Well, yeah. And that's what I told my sister Jill. I said, because her house is beautiful and she's kept it great. She's kept it up and, time for her to downsize. And where is she looking? Up in Tradition, where some of her friends have moved.
Del Webb.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably. That's
the
that's
over
the hot neighborhood up there.
55
Yep.
and,
Yeah.
pickleball courts. And
So you can try and find these guys at Waterpoint at 215-5824.
That's my direct line.
How about that?
you call in there.
Or Dave at waterpoint.com.
Well, what you do, you call in there and ask for them. They go, just a minute, let me connect you to them. And they connect you to them.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy
great.
how that works.
It is. Yeah, don't call him direct on his cell phone. He won't answer that. But call the office first. Now, you got your organization expanded about, 3 years ago, was that?
A little over 2 years ago.
And tell us what
Yeah.
you did there.
So back in, I guess that would be 2 years ago. See how I did that? 20 minus 2.
Well, it's Florida time. It's tough
So, yeah.
to keep track.
First quarter of 18.
I take my shoes off on that one.
Chris Clifford and Willoughby Realty and Bill Dean with EIRP Realty rolled in with Waterpoint. So at that time, I turned all the day-to-day management over to Bill, and he is our managing broker and doing a great job. And I sell. That's all I do now is sell. So I only have to worry about myself and my customers, which is
great.
cool.
Well, and of course, I know what your motto is, Dave. Your motto is a good reputation is a terrible thing to waste. No, it's a good reputation is a person's greatest asset. And boy, is that ever true.
Especially in this area. It's a small
They
small
forget.
town.
They don't forget.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting because, I have my other stores up in Indian River County, and we often compare the two counties, this Martin County and Indian River County. It's a lot of similarities, but boy, there are a lot of differences. But bottom line is there's definitely, some money out there and some really good people. So I imagine your organization has, how many agents do you have tied in there?
Oh, I'm going to give you a guesstimate of around 40 to 45 agents here in between our 3 offices in Martin County. Then we have another office down at Tequesta and about maybe 35 agents in that office.
Wow.
How hot is the Jupiter Tequesta market
Oh,
now?
good God. Holy smokes.
Okay. You just answered.
Good God and holy smokes. Amen, brother.
Woo.
My partner loves to rub it in. It's the hot area. All the young up and coming golfers, not even up and coming. They're already, Brooks Koepka, Ricky Fowler, all those guys live down there. And it's just the hot area. It's expensive, but it's
I think they said most of a lot of the PGA guys who were out of Orlando came down to, down to Palm Beach. There's like 140 golf pros living down that way. And it used to not be, they used to all be in Orlando.
Yeah.
They all kind of followed Tiger and
They
everything.
follow their pros too.
And
I mean,
yes, and there's a lot of the new young, there's a lot of young guys on the tour now who, they were saying the other day, oh yeah, all these so and so from Palm Beach, and I'm like, figures, used to just kind of, put it in with some of the big boys like Ernie and some of the others, but pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah, it is.
And that is also a hot market for products that I sell, but I'm not down there. So it's the people who have been down there are down there and they're enjoying it. So
sure.
I picked Vero instead of, Jupiter to Quest. I don't know. That was several years ago.
Well, I don't know. I gave a tour today of the area, and it just reminded me how much construction there is going on right now. A lot of renovation work, a lot of knockdowns and rebuilding. So there should be a few toilets out there to sell.
There's a few toilets and kitchens and showers, and you do see the what do you call it? The 13-yard waste containers in a lot of driveways.
Sure.
And and plus everybody during this whole thing, everybody's exactly doing that. They're renovating, they're cleaning up, they're clearing out. Did
you see the story on CNBC the other night? A lumber shortage?
No.
Yeah. There have been so many people utilizing all this lumber at whether it's Lowe's or Home Depot. They're
That's
having
crazy.
a tough time finding lumber. I'm thinking, oh my goodness.
Well, where does our lumber come from? I should know that.
Pacific Northwest and
okay, so it's
Western
here.
Canada.
It's here, yeah.
Oh, sure.
It's not, on the yin yang
thing
coming over.
No, I wouldn't think so. No.
Right. Well, that's a whole nother story. So, what else in the real estate world should we be aware of? You have a lot of information over there that I know you gave us the highlights. So, and then this is going to go on for who knows?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how things play out because traditionally, if you look back over the years, everybody points to season being, first quarter, which is arguably our busiest time of the year would be, say January 15th through Easter. But then we also have a summer move season. So after Easter, it dips down, quiets down a little bit, and then it picks up once school gets out for those families looking to move over the summer and get their kids into a different location. And then historically like August 15th through October 15th is the slowest time of the year. Kids are back in school. It's hurricane season. People are distracted with various things. And those 2 months are typically the slowest time of the year. And then it picks up again at the end of the year with folks wanting to move and homestead. But I think this year we might have a busier than normal summer season. It all depends on how this whole COVID thing plays out. So if we can slowly recover from this, we're going to have a better than normal third quarter, and who knows how it's going to be after that.
I got a press release 2 days ago from the National Movers Association, or whatever their group is, that Florida was the number one moved in state in the last 6 months. So you're right. You hit it on the head.
Yeah. That's, I remember, I think it was 2018, Dave, when we were just talking about this the other day. We, expected things to fall off the season and all that, and things just stayed the same. It was, we said, well, it's either a lot of people are staying here or it's the local people are out spending money. Cause, even for a couple of years, particularly after the crash in 2008 and all that, just a ton of money on the sidelines, and back then people that we saw, I don't know if you remember what was coming through then, but we saw a lot of Europeans, and people from, the Czech type countries and Germany, and they're the ones who had the money, or even Canada was coming in with money, and they were spending it, and at least flashing it.
I was gonna say they were spending it, really?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
The Canadians were faking it. No, hey, you guys, you're
Oh.
great. Yeah. Put me in the penalty box, please. Oh my gosh. But I mean, we are resilient. You hear everybody say that. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there, but in the end, the America will bounce back and do what we've always done, and it's going to be pretty amazing, I think.
Yeah, hopefully the bounce back is sooner than later.
Yeah, well, if you can survive through it now, I mean, this is. You think of all the difficult things, even running the radio stations and keeping the real estate. What a competitive business that is. Let me ask you this: how many real estate agents in the Treasure Coast?
Well, there's two different things. So
the ones that count.
I don't know the answer to your question, how many real estate agents there are, but I can tell you there are roughly 2,500 realtors in Martin and St. Lucie County. So when you go and get your license through the state, you take the class, and then you have to pass a state exam. And once you pass that exam, you are a licensed real estate agent. And you are licensed to sell real estate and earn a commission. If you want to be a realtor member, which you can do by hanging your license under a broker and joining the Realtor Association, that requires you to abide by a code of ethics, and there's specific continuing education requirements that need to be met, and that's what most people are dealing with are realtor members of the profession.
Okay, so you got members, and then you got people who are maybe a little more serious about it. I mean, I've met a lot of people who say, I'm a realtor too. And I'm like, okay, everyone's an expert. All right. But my mom was a real estate broker for 35 years. And she's kind of like you. Nobody could pronounce her name. Well, the good thing is you're not a woman. No, I'm just kidding. My mom was awesome star where we lived, and she sold real estate. So, I was the one who got to go home from 4th grade and get in and make my own snack for the rest of my life. So that's why I turned out to be such a wonderful young man like I am.
Latchkey?
Latchkey. Yep. Johnny Latchkey. Yeah. Johnny Latchkey Campion. Hey, I was.
Oh my goodness.
Greg, honestly, that was the term we used back. That's
latchkey kid.
I was latchkey. I'm telling you. So I guess it was just kind of a way of life. My dad traveled. My mom sold real estate, and I had my say of ice cream and all the other stuff in the cupboard. So it was all good.
So what did you do before real estate?
Yeah, that's a great question.
So, like I said, I'm starting my 22nd year here in Martin County selling real estate. Prior to that, out of college, I went to work for State Farm Insurance on the claims side of things. I did not sell anything. I was on the claims side of things. So I worked in the homeowners claims department. So if your dishwasher overflowed, or your dog bit somebody, or you filed a normal homeowner's claim, that would come across my desk and I would handle it. After a few years with State Farm, I moved into their catastrophe team, and so from the late 80s through the late 90s, you name the storm, I was probably there. So I chased storms. From earthquakes in California to hurricanes in Florida and hailstorms in Kansas and everywhere in between. I wore a pager.
Oh yeah,
a little beeper.
Sure,
and we all did.
The pager would go off with the 911, and I'd call my boss up in Bloomington, Illinois, and he would say, "Okay, I need you in New Orleans tomorrow morning," and I'd book my flight. I'd land and find out what was going on. I worked my way up. My job when I left State Farm was a coordinator. So my job was to kind of be the first person there and assess the situation, meet with the agency folks, find out how many claims we had, find out, determine how many claim reps we needed to bring in, housing, office space, support staff, all that kind of stuff. So it was a pretty cool job, really, really super long hours.
You were like hot stuff.
Well, the neat thing about it,
The guy's here.
At that time I was single.
The guy's here.
So
Sorry.
So
you have a lovely wife. So I apologize.
So I got to live in different areas of the country, not just go and visit for a few days. I'd lived there for a minimum of a month. The longest I lived anywhere was out Naperville, Illinois, outside of Chicago. I was there for about 6 months. So I really got to, experience the different spots.
Is that a tornado?
That was a backup of sewer and drains.
Ooh.
You know what the nickname for Naperville is, don't you?
I don't know.
Naperville, because it's where all the McDonald's corporate people lived.
Oh, really?
Because they were all over in Oak Brook.
So now you said in the 80s, were you with us in San Francisco for the earthquake?
I sure was.
Yeah.
I was living in Santa Cruz.
Oh.
About an hour south.
Yeah, I covered a lot of the damage at Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was there.
Oh, my goodness.
I was in a bar drinking that night
Yeah.
with some friends. Dave,
Some
where did
unbelievable pictures of that.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine. That'd be like right out of a movie.
We did live shots. This is like 2 weeks in, where they set up this huge compound by where the Oakland Bay Bridge fell.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was amazing, when you're there. And, I was so frustrated because we were 7 rows from the top of Candlestick when it all happened. And
You were in Candlestick when
I was in Candlestick.
Holy
And all my
smokes.
old buddies at ESPN, I was working for the Dodgers. at
He
the
said,
time.
man, that's some good beer.
And-
It really
and so,
is shaking.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's what I thought it was. And then all of a sudden I see the light standards swaying over our head. And then Bob Lee was right in front of me. I said, Bobby, if you've got your rosary, take it out. We're not getting out of here. And so anyway,
Wow.
it all of a sudden looked straight out into the outfield. And these huge concrete pillars start falling.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my God. Well, as it turned out, our remote truck from Fox 11 in LA had turned around because we were doing some World Series preview stuff. And so he had already turned around. He was almost into Fresno when he heard all the news, turned right around and came back. And oh yeah, I was
Wow.
up there. And actually my wife was at Fox 11 at the time, and they didn't know that I was even alive until I popped up on a Canadian news feed, a sports network that it was similar to ESPN, and I was doing a report for them. So she knew I was okay.
Huh.
Oh God.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
Wow.
oh man.
Now,
That was crazy. So my funny story from that. So I got the call, booked my flight, and I flew into. Damn, where did I fly into?
Probably San Jose, right?
San Jose. I flew
Yeah,
into San
yeah.
Jose. Yep.
Yep.
And my luggage went to San Juan.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So,
You're
so-
not going to need luggage anyway, believe me.
So here I am. You're jet lagged. You get the call and it's just go, 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 go. You get there. I got jeans. I got nothing. Nothing's open. Nothing to wear. That was an interesting trip. We had a good time.
well, where were you living at this time when you started with State Farm? And because you were single. So are you saying you were just, wherever he laid his hat was his home?
No, when I started with State Farm, I started in Melbourne.
All right. So you're from Florida.
No, I'm from upstate New York,
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
outside of Syracuse.
Single guy.
Oh, I had it going on, John.
I'm sure.
I had it going on. And before
I had it.
So where'd you go to college?
I went
Syracuse.
to UCF.
Oh, okay.
So when
He's got good seats there, 7th row from the top, where it sways when they jump.
when I met my wife, who worked for State Farm, I met her through State Farm. I had a house, I had 2 cars, I had a boat, I was living large, and
Everything but kids. It was perfect.
I kid her that everything I owned at that time is now gone, but
Yeah.
I replaced it with children and a wife. So
Yeah. Yeah. Good
Not
seats.
bad.
Good seats at the football
good
games.
sit. Oh, I always had those.
Yeah. Right. Right. That's amazing. That's a pretty interesting job. You know, I know when we had to deal with the catastrophe guy here from insurance company that pulled out. You know, when I moved here in 2003, I remember my mom saying, "Well, we haven't had a hurricane here in 25 years," and then we proceeded to get 8 in the next 12 months.
Oh, was this the one before Citizens or something?
Well, this was
created?
this was nationwide. Was the one.
Oh.
After they did Gene Francis. Anyways, they were all kind of
Francis and Gene were together.
They were together,
2000.
but they ripped our roof off, and we got a check. And my dad couldn't wait to burn a hole in his pocket with that check, even though I said whatever they put on here won't be as good as what was on here. And I was right; it had 4 leaks. But anyways, it was they came and wrote us a nice check, and I was like, okay. And then they pulled out of Florida. Nationwide did. They weren't on our side anymore, but State Farm was there. Have you heard that before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me write that down. That's
yeah.
Great marketing.
You remember. And what's funny is
what color pants do you have?
Yeah.
I can't believe they came back with that spot 20 years later, right?
Well, I said to somebody, I said, you know who Ed Reimer was? Do you remember Ed Reimer? He was with Allstate. It might have been up in the Chicago area, but it was Ed. I just remember it from maybe I watched too many Cubs games or something. He would be on there, but now they got Safe Driver, Save 40%.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis Helbert.
Yes,
his name is.
great actor.
So
the corporate headquarters for Bloomington or for State Farm was in Bloomington, Illinois.
Okay, that's the school is there.
Illinois State
University of Illinois, is it?
No,
I thought
Champaign-Urbana.
Oh, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's
I
correct.
think
They're
Illinois State is there, and not much else. State Farm, the college, not much else. But Bloomington is a couple hours south of Chicago, so every time I had to go to Bloomington, I tacked on a trip to Chicago. So I've been to Wrigley Field more than any baseball.
Yeah, Chicago is one of my favorite cities to go
place.
to. Yep. Yeah, my brother and I used to ride the L down from Deerfield, which is about 20 miles north. Yeah. That was back in the day, and the dollar bleacher seats. That's when our parents probably wished that we didn't come home. And we were in I think my brother Tom was in 8th grade, and I was in 6th grade. And, we're going down to the Cubs game, and we'd sit out there for $1 in the good old days. But
my other favorite venue in the National League with the Dodgers was Pittsburgh. Beautiful town. And again, like Chicago, a great food town.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Pittsburgh, huh?
Yeah.
You've been to Pittsburgh?
I have not.
I've only been through the airport.
Oh, beautiful. Walking areas, hills.
Couple bridges.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
Just a few.
Well,
that was fun.
Well, Pittsburgh, never would have thought that. I do have a gentleman who worked for me for 10 years who was Pittsburgh, and he swore by it. But yeah, Chicago, great place.
Absolutely. Favorite town.
Yep. And, it's just amazing that they kept Wrigley. I mean, as well as they can. And, for a guy who's seen it all, Mr. Greg, must have some great memories in there.
Yeah, I have. I'm going way back. What was it, 77? 76 or 77, Padres open up there. And at this point in time in my life, I'd only seen snow 4 times. And that was covering the San Diego Chargers flying somewhere. And all of a sudden we get to Wrigley. And the whole field's white.
Oh, it was the home opener?
What is this thing?
It always snows at the home opener there.
Snowed out for 3 games.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, freezing to death.
Yeah,
and all I had was a blazer.
Oh, well, at least you look good. Freezing your toonies off.
At least your luggage didn't go to San Juan.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe you had something back. Well, maybe he didn't have any. He might have just had a blazer.
So how long were you in Santa Cruz after the earthquake?
Oh, I was only there maybe 6 weeks. I forget. I had the opportunity to stay, And I don't remember why I didn't. There was probably a girl involved, but I
Good for you.
But I tell you what, we'd have one day off a week, and I remember driving down to, Pebble Beach and
Sure. Carmel area.
Yeah, Big Sur. Oh my gosh, just fantastic. I actually had the opportunity to play Pebble Beach, and so at that time, I was mid-20s, and I forget the numbers, but a couple of buddies of mine said, "Hey, let's play," and it was, I don't know, $350 roughly to play a round of golf with a caddy. Had to have a caddy, and
Ooh.
so
So this
we
was,
just
what would
didn't
you
do
say?
it. We
This
didn't
was
pull it off.
77? What year was that?
This would have been 89 and then.
You see, I played Pebble Beach. Dave, I played Pebble Beach in Christmas around in 1987.
2 years earlier.
It was 150 for the 18 with a cart. I had to rent the clubs because I took with
That's
me
another
out
thing,
there.
we didn't have clubs.
I took golf shoes, a golf glove, and 12 golf balls in my bag.
Did that get you through 18?
I think so. But what happened is that was the first time. Now that was okay. So that was the first time I hit metal woods. They were new. They were Pebble Beach woods,
Oh man.
and I played with a friend of my brother-in-law's, and then some some Japanese guy and his son. And I had my American Express card, so you don't leave home without it. I had that for everything, just, a little $50, cheapest rain suit, $50. I put it on, rip the arm out. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. And then that night, after I left there, we drove up from there after a couple of beers at the lodge, drove up to Redwood City and met my brother-in-law, and we hopped in his car and we drove up to Tahoe. With the chains through Donner Pass.
So long.
And I drove down there now, and I drove down there from, where did they live? They lived,
Redwood City's way up. And
they lived in Woodside. So I drove Woodside down to Pebble, up to Redwood City, then to Tahoe. That was and we got in there about 2 or 3 in the morning. That was a full day.
It's a 2,000-mile drive.
Yeah, it seemed like it. It seemed like it. Those,
Oh my God.
but you only go around once.
Yeah.
And,
So that's one of my biggest regrets, was not pulling the trigger. And
yeah. That's,
None of us did, but we didn't have clubs. We didn't.
You're young and foolish.
Did you ever want to live out in that area at all?
Just the sheer beauty. I don't necessarily want to live in California, but the beauty of that
was made.
place.
that Monterey Peninsula.
Unbelievable.
Oh my Lord.
Carol and I got married in Carmel.
Did you?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, wow.
Did Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood marry you? Wouldn't that have been cool? Isn't that where he was the mayor?
He was the mayor,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah.
Could have made his day.
Well, this is a long time ago.
Oh,
It was
yeah. That's very cool.
73. Yeah.
That's
Highlands Inn.
nice.
Yeah.
Is it still there? The Highlands
You know,
Inn?
it is. It's a lot now. It's gorgeous. There's no way we could afford it now.
When
but
you
it's-
start getting to be the young ages we are, you sure can remember a lot of stuff you did. And,
Yeah.
And in your careers, you talk about like Naperville, and McDonald's was my customer. And before I moved here, I lived in Nashville, and I had to go up to Oak Brook almost every week the year that they rolled out their new production system. And I lived in Chicago as a kid, so it was I just loved going up there. And every day was a Big Mac day. My brother just warned us. He said, please, you guys are out in the field. We all had our different markets around the country. I was Mid-Atlantic. And he says, every day you're out there, they're going to offer you a cheeseburger at a store. Do not eat one every day, or you'll be dead by the time you're 40. So I left the company.
I still eat there periodically.
I do too.
Because of Mr. Kroc. Mr.
Yeah.
Kroc saved our San Diego Padres.
Yes, he did.
Right.
And it was, what an amazing guy.
Yes.
And his leadership qualities, His son-in-law, Ballard Smith, ran the team, and they did such an amazing job and rescued that club because it was gone.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And it's, it's amazing they've hung on as long as they have.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Joan, Ray's wife, boy, she took the mantle and kept it going, until she passed away.
And with the philanthropy that she did,
Oh my God.
Big bucks to NPR and all that. And,
oh yeah.
Something else. So those were interesting years that I was involved in with that, but not take away from Dave. That's a pretty cool job. I never knew you did all that stuff. That's very cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. Again, got to live in some really cool areas, got to live in a few not so cool areas.
And then you're also dealing with people who are under a lot of stress because of what's just happened.
Oh.
I mean, it would be like,
that's got to be awful.
It's kind of like when, COVID hits the world and everybody's sick of being whatever is going on with the stress and all that. It's crazy.
This is so different though.
What's that?
This is so different than.
Oh, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
And it seems like it changes every day.
It's just it. It's just
hurricane hits. It's there. It's gone. And then you just clean up and go on. This thing is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really hard. And when people say, "Oh, have you been tested?" No, well, am I one of the? We need to do the herding, I guess. I don't know. I just don't. And then when you see healthy people who get hit and it kills them, it really just strikes you.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough stuff. So, everybody has to be safe and be smart, and we will get through it. We just might not get through it when we think we will.
So how'd you get Stuart? Or how'd you find Stuart?
My wife. So I worked for State Farm. I moved from Melbourne to Lantana to Delray to Palm Beach Gardens.
Okay.
I bounced around a lot. I used to, back in my younger days before I got married, I used to buy a house, fix it up, and flip it every 2 years.
Ooh, okay.
So, but I met my wife at State Farm, and she grew up here in Stewart and had just moved to Boynton Beach. And we met and got married and moved back here.
Cool.
Yeah. So, been in the same house since we moved back here in 1997.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a neat story.
Yeah. I just realized the other day that I've lived in my house now I've been here 18 years. It's the longest I've ever lived anywhere. When you think about, I've lived in 8 states. How many states have you lived in?
Oh,
I
think we've made 5 coast to coast trips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 8 states is a lot of states when you're growing up, and they go, "Oh, was your dad in the service?" No, but it was really good. And my kids, who are of course in their late 20s and early 30s, they've thanked us for the 3 times we've moved them, just because the variety of stuff you see. It was, they were born in Richmond. They're still fighting the war up there, but they are getting rid of the statues right now as we speak. I think they took Arthur Ashe's statue down with Robert E. Lee's on Monument Avenue.
Wait a minute. Back up. What?
What?
Arthur Ashe's statue.
He has a statue on Monument Avenue.
I know that.
In Richmond. I'm just kidding. They may have taken it down. I don't, if they took Robert E. Lee's statue down,
Oh.
But anyways, they were born in Richmond, which is where I met my wife. And then we lived there. I lived there 16 years, and then we moved to Nashville for 7. And then we've been here, 18. So the kids, Ben, my youngest one, who's 28, I remember the day that Dee Dee was driving him down Willoughby between Monterey and Indian Street. And Sam, my oldest one, was a freshman at Martin County High. So Dee Dee's driving him down through there, and Ben's in 5th grade over in Palm City. And she goes, "Ben, there's where Sam goes to school." And he's looking over at the jail. He goes, "Geez, Mommy, that looks just like a prison." And of course, back then, Martin County wasn't very attractive. It was, it's before they added everything. But that's great,
Okay, so what was in that neighborhood then? Was it orchards? Was
no.
Flowers? I remember Canner when we first got here in the early 90s. There's a bunch of flour.
Well, you got all that stuff is still, Cantor's still like that in part of it. Everything else has been built up. I just know over in Palm City where we live, there one year my folks sent me oranges for Christmas up to Richmond. Well, that orchard is right behind where we live now, and it's got maybe one tree left.
Wow.
Gone, and that's what you remember about up here. So, I mean, I never thought I'd live in Florida. I mean,
we never did either.
Why are we here? And we came because of my
I
parents.
know why we're here.
I know why I'm here.
I find out about WPSL being for sale. And so this is 92. And all of a sudden I had 2 more days up in Vero Beach with the Dodgers. And I called every chamber of commerce and I said, send me everything you've got and do an economic projection out to 2030. And so we get out there. Carol is looking through the Martin County chamber booklet. And all of a sudden, hits her right in the head on the front cover, Club Med. If they have a Club Med there, we're going. So that was it. That was a done deal.
That is funny. That is funny.
It was great.
And here it brought you in.
Oh,
so when you guys moved here, where'd you come from? You came from San Diego?
From LA.
From LA?
Was in LA for 13 years. When I quit serving my prison sentence in Bristol, Connecticut, we opened the LA bureau, and then that was the first 6 years in LA, and then I ended my career with the Dodgers.
God, you almost got me talking about my days of going to jail, but I realized that yours weren't really jail. I'm just kidding. Well, not really, but anyways, I've turned the tide.
So the future of Waterpoint.
Yeah, good one. We got about 7 minutes left. 6
7
minutes.
We are the largest independent brokerage now in Martin County by production standards. We don't have the most agents. I don't want the most agents.
Right.
I want the best agents.
There you go.
But by sales, we're the largest. We have a really great group of people. Our leadership team has over 200 years of real estate sales experience, and we've got some great agents. So I think we're just going to keep plugging along and doing what we're doing and treating people right and not being afraid to go out downtown and look them in the eye and shake their hand and do the right thing.
Well, and of course, that's what this group is all about too.
Yeah.
Well, it is. And what a great group. I mean, you were in there from the beginning, right?
Just
about?
We got.
You've been very generous with us, Greg. Thank you. You and Carol have been very generous.
5 or so. Yeah.
Okay, that's right in there with the Navarettas and the Bowers and
sure
all those.
And it was funny when the hurricanes, twin sisters hit. We were in Port St. Lucie in the St. Lucie Business Park, and it was kind of like the Fort Pierce Central School that did the can opener routine. Half our building did that. And so we adopted the people from Channel 12 and the Palm Beach Post. Everybody was working out of our lobby.
That's fun.
And meanwhile, the folks at the other end of the building, Dow Tile and another place next to it, I mean, they had no roof. So they shut down right away and got out of the building. Well, it's fast forward a year later and Wilma hits. So whatever damage, the twin sisters didn't do.
Wilma took care of it.
Wilma took care of it.
Yep.
And actually they found our satellite dish quarter of a mile from the station. Yeah. It was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
And so I went to the landlord and I said, hey, look, our employees have got to be safe. If you're not going to finish the roof, we got to get out of here. So I'll say one thing, Martin County Business Exchange, good old McBiz, almost everybody in this book had something to do with our building in Fort Pierce.
That's
seriously, from drywall to carpet, you name it, the whole thing.
Neat.
Yeah. And Jeff was a GC on it and it was great. And it still looks like it's brand new.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Didn't know that. Yeah.
It's all because of this group.
So yeah, Martin County Business Exchange, we are always accepting good quality business owners. So if
In
you're
Martin County.
in Martin County, yeah, your business must be in Martin County. So if you're interested, give us a call. You can call me directly, Dave Derenbacher, 215-5824. You can call in here to the station and talk to Johnny C.
Johnny C, Frankie M. Big Frank's not here today.
He'll be back
Frank
in a while.
Mezzapel,
He'll
yeah.
be back in a
We'll
while.
invite you to a meeting, and you can see if you like it. And
Yeah,
we'll go from there.
When we're doing normal stuff, we're meeting every Wednesday morning for breakfast and networking, friendship networking at the Elks Club for now. They've been wonderful hosts and accompanying us there. And we meet from 7 a.m. till 8:30. And what's nice about that is you're out of there at 8:30. And when a lot of other groups, people, places, they get out at 9 and you're already kind of behind the 8 ball. So just a really wonderful group, good support group.
Mm-hmm.
And good friends. You know, I think I don't even know how long I guess 14 years or so for me. It's amazing. And
I think you've been in longer than that, haven't you?
I don't know. I can't.
I think so.
I can't remember.
I think so.
Well, I've been here 18, so I've probably been in there 16. All
At
right.
least. Yeah.
Do we hear the 16? No, it's everybody's been pretty nice to me. You know, I am the morning entertainment over there. Trying to do my best to keep everybody a little bit loose.
Mhm.
And you can tell by the way I am. And David, you can just tell by the way I am right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long day. Yeah. No, I was watching Rodney Dangerfield with Johnny Carson,
Oh,
1974.
classic
I'm
stuff.
telling you, I get no respect. Yeah. But Dave, the how much we were talking earlier about Realtor.com, and then with your website, what does that offer the consumer out there?
Well, it's kind of more the same, and most real estate websites, real estate company websites, are kind of more of the same. Like I said, Realtor.com can get you everything that's on the market with accurate information.
So really, all you need to do is know Dave Derenbacher from Waterpoint Realty Group, and Dave is. I'll endorse him. By the way, Dave is a great guy. He's even nice to me, which is hard for people to do. So I appreciate
It is sometimes hard. You're right about that.
Thank you.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess that's it. It was a lot of fun, Greg. You're always
This is a ball.
Yeah, it's a good time. I might not quit my day job.
Hey, we'll see you next week. Definitely.
Okay. Thanks. Great to
guys.
see everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate
Don't be
it.
a stranger. Come on back.
All right. Everybody, we'll see you later. Thanks.
This is WSTU Stewart, Martin County's Heritage Station, serving the world from Stewart, Florida.